welcome back guys to another episode of Hoops and Football with Shannon. Alright, so tonight's episode will be a bit of a reaction to the Richmond versus Fremantle game round 5 over at Adelaide for Gather Round. We can probably say it is a tale of two halves, probably because we started off really good. I kind of thought we'd be in for the fight for the whole entire game, kind of similar to how the Tigers were against Brisbane last week. But as we all saw, we kind of really, we definitely really faded off in the last two quarters. I kind of felt like we were just chasing our tails for the rest of the last two quarters. But we are a young side, so we all have to remember we are building for the future, not for the now. So it ended up being Richmond 47 to 108. And I'm pretty sure the last two quarters we ended up kicking 1 goal to I think they ended up kicking about 7 goals, 9 goals in the last two quarters. But the goal kickers were Morris Rowley Jr., Steely Green, Jacob Blight, Lynch, who got subbed off, a tactical sub, so from all reports, no injury. McIntosh with 1, Tyler Sonsie with 1, and a couple of behinds from a couple other players. So a couple of good signs, a couple of bad signs. So we'll start with the good. As a positive person we need to be, and positive team we need to be, and supporters, we'll go with positive to start. So Morris Rowley Jr. really impressed with his first two quarters. It was very zippy, it was very hard. Back to that high pressure chase and tackle. Good crumbing, very good mark as well. So I know it's only 6 disposals, no tackles, which is a bit of a downer for him. But we're getting there. It's good to see him back on the side, so that's what we kind of want to see. Steely Green was that usual zippy player, and that goal from the bloody boundary line was very impressive. It's got to be a chance for it's a goal attend of the year. So it was a bloody magnificent goal from that pocket and that snap. So Blight was good again, pinch ruck. I was saying during the game, I think that probably Ben Miller was getting beaten a bit, and I would have thought it wouldn't have been a bad idea to maybe throw Blight down the back there, and so he went. But he ended up kicking 1 goal, 7 disposals. He ended up going in the ruck again to help out the old Nate the Tank. So, but 3 tackles, 7 disposals. But yeah, we're getting there, as we can see. But it's good to see that they're still persisting with Blight doing the pinch ruck / forward, and he is kicking a goal a game. So then Tom Lynch, 1 goal, 5 disposals. So it was a bit of a quiet night, but I don't blame. It's not Lynch's fault, to my opinion. If you watch the game, you can definitely see Lynch really is trying to get up the ground. He really is trying to lead, but the kick's just coming into the forward was shit. Kicks coming into that 50 was just shit. I don't like to swear or be very negative, but I'm not going to blame any of the forwards for this game, because the first 2 quarters, as we all saw, we were good. The mids were good. They were coming in, and they was coming in real good, but the last 2 quarters, it was too much of that kick down the long path and then hope that they get there, and then the kicks were too short or not high enough for a chance for the forwards to come and get to it. So McIntosh had a good game. As usual, seems to start to become that Mr. Consistency player. He ended up having 1 goal, 19 disposals. So a very good kick, I think it was from 50 on the run. So it was very good to see from the start. So then Tyler Sonsie kicked 1 as well from about, I think it was about 50, or kicked it from about 45. The wind took it a little bit more, but yeah, not sure what the go is with Sonsie right now. I don't blame him, because they're not playing him in the midfield, and he was recruited as a midfield, so I got a bit of a feeling that Tyler Sonsie is probably going to be done and dusted at the end of the year. I think a couple of the VFL boys played some good games, and I think they'll come in. I think he'll be an out, but I just don't see. He's not knocking down the door to stay in every game. So I think he's 22, 23, played 28 games. I just don't think he's showing enough. I think he's going to be gone at the end of the year. But then we'll move on to the disposals. So Jacob Hopper had 33. He had, the problem was he only had 8 kicks, but 25 handballs. So obviously he needed to kick a bit more, get that ball down the ground a bit. He's a good kick as well, so I was a bit disappointed that it wasn't as many. And I think, pretty sure by half time, I think he almost had 30, and then obviously he went pretty quiet after that. That was kind of the whole entire midfield. But then Timmy Taranto had 26, 11 kicks, 15 handballs, and then 4 mark and 7 tackles. So Hopper and Taranto together had 13 tackles. So they were trying to get the ball They were trying to tackle, they were trying to play rough, but I'm starting to have a bit of a pet peeve with just how do we get the ball and they just quickly throw in the boot in the mid or in a contest, in a pack, and it just goes 15, 20 metres straight to an opposite position player and they get the ball when it goes forward again. So I feel like I want Toronto to kind of get that out of his game, that little get in the boot and kick and get rid of it, and that's it. You know, it's done. I've got rid of it, not my fault anymore. Not my responsibility, so I want that to be gone. Jaden Short had 25 disposals, 20 kicks, 5 handballs, 8 marks, 2 tackles. Now, I've seen a lot on social media of everyone blasting Jaden Short, saying that he's useless, his days are done, you know, he's kicking with shit. I don't know what you wanted a small defender to do. He was probably chasing and Bolter around, and that Fremantle forward line is really good. And the midfield, it wasn't like the midfield was helping him out very well. So as we saw that Miller was getting pumped, was coming in too quick, and Miller didn't get a chance to get on his player. There's no different to Jaden Short. So I don't blame Jaden Short for that. I felt he gave it everything he could. He ended up having 25 disposals as a defender. So it wasn't like he wasn't trying and he wasn't putting his effort into it. So, and he ended up being, I think he ended up being our top player for fantasy points. Anyway, I'm having 103 off what the AFL app is telling me. So, yeah, I don't blame Jaden Short for that. Gave his best he got. And then Tom Brown, which was good to see. Very good user. I think they need to start using it a bit more. He ended up having 24, which was 17 kicks, which is what I want to see, because as we all know, he's a very good kick, very elite. 7 handballs, 5 marks, 2 kicks. 2 tackles. He's definitely coming into his own as a defender. Getting very good at reading the ball when it comes in, whether it's going to drop or not. He knows when to get behind the player or get in front of the player. And very good overhead, so it's another good positive sign. And maybe even, it's a bit harsh, but probably, okay, sorry, it's not harsh. It's probably just a fact from round 5, and this player has only played 5 games. Luke Trainer, 22 disposals, 17 kicks. Okay, 17 kicks, and I don't think any of those, I would like to check it, but I don't think many of those kicks missed the player. Now, I know a lot of them were a few, we could probably say, oh, what was long down the line. What do you want him to do? You know, I could have paused that game, and multiple times in that back 50, when he had the ball, and no one was moving. They're all just walking around in circles, all just building up a little gaggle in one spot. So what do you want him to do? He had to go somewhere. But a lot of times he kicked it on the wing. He was willing to take that switch. Well, him and Brown were willing to take that switch on the inside to open the game up, which is what I want to see. But yeah, he had 5 handballs, and the most impressive part was 10 marks. So they always did on his reporting, and he was one of the best contested markers in his draft. And I think he's just proven. I think every game, this young fellow is getting better and better every single time. So, and then I'll just rattle through the rest. They were probably the top 5, and they're probably the players that I think gave it their best. But then you had Banks on 21 with 10 kicks, 11 handballs. Dow, he was good, 20, but 5 kicks, 15 handballs. Nick Flostone had 20, but he went out with that blood rule, and I think that would probably be looked at for suspension. Broad had 19. He was still good. He ended up having 11 marks, so I will put my hand up to say that I don't believe this is a defender's problem. I think the defenders did the best that they can, but I believe that the forwards just weren't getting up high enough, and the midfielders just weren't, as we've been saying before, too slow. I need them to come up more the ground and start helping out on the defence side. So McIntosh had 19. Nankervis had 17 with 33 heads out. James Trezise had 17. I feel he kind of regressed a little bit from the last game. Trezise kind of a bit more fumblier. Didn't seem to want to take on the kick as much as he did last week. And then Hugo Ralph-Smith from his first game back in for the season was probably up there with one of our best plays. You can kind of see why he owns that wing territory, because that speed and that desire just to get after contest and not give up and direct his own players to get around a bit more. So it was good to see Hugo Ralph-Smith back, and I think he'll be better off it for next week as well after having a run back in the seniors and getting back to the high intensity. I think the heat probably got to a lot of those young players as well, but Ben Miller, okay, we're all probably going to blast Ben Miller for it. The Freo player, I can't remember his name, kicked 6 goals. I think 6 goals, 1 on him. Now, a lot of it, I think, could have been his fault, not positioning himself right. But a few times it was that the defence was setting up for attack, and we had an errant kick or a bad handball, and it cost us. And then all it takes is a quick kick in, and Ben Miller was out of position, and it was too late. So, and I think one or two might have been from a free kick that shouldn't have been happened, like when Rioli got tripped, and then it turned around, kick in, and bang, they got a goal straight away. So we couldn't do too much about that. Tyler Zonzi had 12 and a goal. Like I said, I think he'll come out. I think they'll bring Sam Law in for him. I don't think he's just not 2 games. Is just what he's done isn't enough to stay in. I have said I think he deserves a month's block. Sorry, so 4 games in a row to see where he is. But I'm pretty sure he's at 20. He's 4 years into his career. He's at 28 games. I just don't think he's showing enough signs to show us that he's going to be there long term. I think you got Josh Smiley and a couple other players in the VFL from today's game that's showing you that he's probably not going to stay inside. So Seth Campbell quiet today. He's only averaging 2 goals a game. But look, yet again, like I said at the start, I'm not going to blame him. Unfortunately, it's just the tale of 2 halves. The forwards at the start started real good, and then we died off, and there wasn't much he could do about it. The entries coming into that 50 were horrible. So I'm not going to hate on him. Steely Green, same thing as about Seth Campbell, but I'll give him that brilliant goal. It was magnificent. Jacob Blight, we've already discussed Jacob Blight. Jonty Fall, same thing. But I will say he does compete. That little tap down to Roll in that first, I think it was like a minute, to get Rioli that goal shows you that he's got the IQ to know when not to mark the ball. Sorry about that. Stuttered that for quite a while. But yeah, I think he'll stay in next week. Especially we all know Harry Armstrong's out for 12 weeks. So, and we don't know. They're saying Lynch isn't injured, so who knows? Maybe they'll just give him a rest. But we'll see how we go from there. And then I'm pretty sure this is the last player, Morris Rioli Jr., 6 disposals and 2 goals. Now, I think he's warranted to stay in for next week against Gold Coast over at Marvel Stadium. 2 goals. I know it's only 6 disposals, no tackles, but he proved in that first quarter to 2 quarters that was the reason you bring him. He's kind of like Mansell, that speed, that attack, that chase. I feel like he tackled more than once. That's going to really annoy me. I'm really confident I saw him tackle more than once. Well, none apparently. But it is what it is. But so then that's all the disposals, all the players. Now I just got a bit of negative stuff I want to talk about. A couple of things I think that we need to improve for next week. I'm pretty sure it's probably going to be blasted all over social media anyway from a lot of other people. But the first time you kick the ball from the back 50 down the line, it doesn't work. After that, 100 times later, it ain't going to work. So that was really starting to become a bit of a pet peeve during the game. We would stop the bleeding. They would come in. We would get the ball, would mark it. You could see the players were just looking. Can't find no one. Cool. I'm just going to thump it. Just going to send it down the line and hope to God that somebody marks it. But it wasn't working. It was getting to the stage where it was starting to really kind of piss me off, where we just kicking it down the line. It kind of ended up being next man's. That's the mentality you could see was next man's problem. I don't know if that is what they've been instructed to do, but even in the last quarter, I feel like it was maybe about 10 minutes to go. I think Steely Green kicked a point off it. We switched it into the centre. From Brown, off the back halves, we went from the back flank right wing to inside to a handball across to a leading in and a shot at goal. It really, it really started to get on my nerve there, that long down the line. Now, if that is a coaching information that's been giving out to them, then I think that needs to be changed because it is not working. Like, I get the idea. Lynch wasn't having a great game, so he wasn't clunking the marks like he normally does. The balls weren't staying up high enough. If they were, they were kicking him too low. Like, they weren't having that arc where it gives a time for a Jonty Fall to build up the speed, the momentum, and jump up there and get a mark, or a Tom Lynch or a Jacob Blight. And then when it was coming down to the ground, it was just outnumbered anyway. So it just ended up becoming the same thing over and over, and that's when they began getting the repeat entries, and that just turned into a bloodbath after that. So I feel like next week we've got to stop that. I can understand if you need to switch, which we were doing at times. Luke Trainer is pretty switched on for that as a young player. He was at times switching. Okay, well, it's not going to work going down the line. I'll switch, and then got to somebody else. And they would do the exact same thing. Nah, cool, let's just switch it. So, look, I understand we're a young side, and we are building up experience and getting into it. Now, you'll hear the same thing, the heat. Apparently, it was a very hot afternoon. I think it was something like 34 degrees. Now, I doubt it's been 34 plus in Melbourne or in Adelaide last time the boys played. It's been that hot, so it probably took a toll on a lot of the young fellas. You can kind of see that a little bit as well. You can definitely see that the toll from the heat was kind of getting to them, but I think it's just a few adjustments we need to make. The other one was I touched on it a little bit earlier. Ben Miller wasn't having his best game. I think it would have been a good idea to switch Blight with Miller, even just for a 5-minute break. Look, Ben Miller's a big boy. He can play ruck as well. I think Blight has the strength over Miller, and he also has the capacity to run. Like, his cardio is a lot higher, I think, than Miller. So I think every now and then they need to make that switch. I don't think Miller should be dropped. Like, it's one bad game, and it wasn't, you could say 50-50, it wasn't always his fault. So that needs to be adjusted, I think, as well. And then my other one is the mids. A bit of a pet peeve. We seem to be doing it now. Look, get it. Very young. But we all can agree that McIntosh, Tim Taranto, Jacob Hopper, you can't be playing them in the midfield every single time. It just doesn't work. Well, McIntosh isn't as fast as he used to be. Hopper and Taranto are a lot slower than they used to be as well. So I definitely think it's time to switch them up and put somebody else in there. Look, when Sam Lawler's back, I think that tends to make a difference. It did against Brisbane. They tend to throw him in the forward line, in the middle a lot. 60-40, I think is what they're trying to do. 40% in the midfield, 60% in the forward line. That works. But it might be time to try like a Seth Campbell. Hopefully maybe Josh Smiley comes in, because he has that burst speed as well. So, look, that's just something we're going to do. Look, it might be a time to try and switch to a Taranto, Hopper sharing the midfield time with each other. So 50-50, 50% forward, 50% midfield time, because too slow. I'm not liking this how slow we are coming out of that midfield, and when you're slow in the midfield, they get the clearances coming out of that midfield too easy. So I think that's another one of the ones I want to talk about. Look, I probably have some more that I could discuss, but I could be going on forever. So it all just depends. And then I had something else I wanted to discuss. I can't remember what it is now. No. I'll have to do it on another video next time if I can remember, or maybe I'll make a little short one. But look, I didn't like that we didn't kick any more goals after the third quarter. I kind of have this idea of that. Look, I know Ooze. I know you're wrong. I love Ooze as a coach. Like, I think we are building a system that we can't maintain for 4 quarters. But it's going to happen. We are a young side. So, look, it's not the end of the world. But I definitely feel like there needs to be time where he needs to make changes when it's not working. So I feel like I have no professional player here, just a fan. I feel like they have a scoring target, and to me, I feel like it needs to be averaging 3 goals every quarter, no matter what the situation is. No, they have an expected scoring. I think they said against Brisbane we were close to getting it. So we scored 90 last week, so that means I'm guessing they're hoping we get close to 100 or maybe 94. I think they need to, as a team, average 3 goals a game. So 3 goals a quarter, 12 goals over a whole entire game. Then that's just, once we can work to 3 goals every quarter, it's a system if they can regularly keep doing it, then it's cool. Let's add, let's average 7 goals in every 2 quarters. So you add a goal on one of the quarters either, and to me just build up a little bit of progress, because right now it kind of feels like we're just playing for 2 quarters and that's all we want to do. Cool, boys. Let's just show we can play 2 quarters, and after that, oh well, we've tried. So, but just some of my thoughts on the game from tonight. But let me know what you guys think. Is there anything you think that we need to improve on? Maybe any of the plays you think maybe we need to make a change or make a switch from seniors to VFL? And let me know what you guys kind of think of how it went out for tonight's game against Fremantle over at Adelaide. At I think it's called Barassa for Gather Round. But all right, guys. Until next time, please stay safe, and as always, go Tigers.